Hi, welcome to the Trello Business Class 101 webinar. We're going to show you how to take your team to the next level. My name is Brian Cervino, and I'm Product Marketing Manager at Trello. So today, we're going to cover what is business class, go over some solutions that business class provides, scalability with your team with business class's security features. I'll share some additional resources and Q&A if we have time. So what is business class? Trello Business Class is a shared space for teams to collaborate, communicate, and manage information securely. And business class offers teams what I like to consider three pillars: solutions through unlimited boards and unlimited power-ups for unlimited possibilities, scalability to make sure your team scales successfully with collections and additional insights, and security, additional admin settings and member controls to keep your data safe. So first, let's talk about solutions for business teams. One of the primary features of business class is unlimited boards. And unlimited team boards allows you to manage really any project. Not much more to go into there, except I'll give you a link where you can get some inspiration later for just how far you can take Trello with your team. I want to take a deep dive now into some of the additional features that business class offers that allows you to really customize your boards for any project. And so this is through power-ups. And power-ups allow you to really take your projects to the next level, make them super customizable for any use case. And I'm going to go into some of our power-ups that we've built right now. And these are custom fields, which allows you to add custom data fields to Trello cards. List limits, set limits for cards, for how many cards can be in a list. Card repeater to create repetitive tasks. Calendar to visualize cards in a calendar view. Map to visualize locations, and voting. First, let's go over custom fields. Custom fields allow you to add structure to your cards. They are adaptable really for any use case and allow you to create extra data fields, checkboxes, etc. on your cards. You can select fields for really a whole number of things. Checkboxes, as I mentioned, dates, drop-down menus, number fields, and text fields, and you can add them to cards. So as you can see, in this example, on an editorial calendar board, I've created some custom fields to help with the blogging process. I've created a text field for the author, the word count for how many words we want for this article, the category on the blog, which is a drop-down menu, so anyone on the team can easily click and select which category they'd like for the blog post, a date for when we would like the draft to be due, and a date for when we want the copy edits to be due. And then there's also a quick checkbox that can be toggled for if we require any extra illustration or art from our design team. And what's great about custom fields is that they not only display on the back of the card like this, but for each new field you create, you can toggle whether or not you want to show that field on the front of the card. And as you can see here, I've selected to show 4 of the fields on the front of the card: the category, when the draft is due, when copy edits are due, and if it requires art. And this just allows anyone on the team to really get that at-a-glance information that Trello provides so well. Next up is list limits. List limits allows you to quickly identify bottlenecks in your workflow. And what you can do is you can set the maximum number of cards in a list and get a visual cue when the list is at its limit. So let me show you how that works. With the list limits power-up enabled, you can go to any list menu, select set list limit, put in the number of cards you want in a list, and now when a card is dragged into the list, you'll get a visual cue that it's over the limit. When a card is moved out, it's complete. You no longer see that visual cue. Card repeater is really good for any regularly recurring tasks or cards that are created on your board. And what it does is it creates a copy of a card on the board automatically from any other card, like a template card that exists or other card that exists on the board. And it's perfect for, as I mentioned, regular occurring tasks. It allows you to template cards and minimize the risk of missing any details. So whatever the descriptions are, the checklist, etc., on the template card you create that you set to repeat will automatically be copied over to the new card. And also you can really set it and forget it. You can set the card repeater to repeat daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly repeats at specific times and onto specific lists. The calendar power-up allows you to do what it says. You can visualize dates, view cards with due dates on them on a calendar in monthly, weekly, and daily views. It's also added bonus of you can drag and drop and quickly change a due date on a card by drag and dropping the card to a new date on the calendar. Also, you can sync a board with the calendar power-up enabled to a third-party calendar with its unique iCal feed. And this is a great way to either combine all your Trello board calendars with all your calendars, whether it's Google Calendar or Apple, or really any calendar that accepts an iCal feed, you can import your board's calendar into and have everything in your life all summed up in one place. The map power-up, when enabled, allows you to add locations to cards and visualize them on a map. As you can see here, this is a map view for a real estate company. And really this is perfect for client-based work, real estate, as I mentioned, contractor work, or really to share where remotely distributed team members are located. In fact, at Trello, 70% of our team is remote, and we actually have a who's who board at Trello. And with the map power-up enabled, it's really neat to see where everyone is throughout the world. It really helps kind of, I guess, tie together the community and the culture better. And then there's the voting power-up. And this allows members to vote on cards. So it's really useful in getting team input for prioritizing roadmaps, soliciting team sentiment during retrospectives, and even planning office activities, maybe for playing offsite, deciding what restaurants anyone wants to go to when you're getting together as a team. You can also easily click and see who voted on what from the card back. Automation is a really powerful feature that Trello provides to boost productivity with a really powerful automation. And it's built into Trello and really allows you to boost productivity across your entire team with powerful workflow automation by Butler. And best of all, no coding is required. It's almost like Mad Libs for productivity. I'm going to go over a high-level view of what Butler is, but I highly recommend if you want to deep dive into all that Butler can do and everything, how to set it up, go to trello.com/webinars, where we have an on-demand webinar about Butler in particular. So first of all, why automate? Well, it allows you to save time and effort. Teams should avoid time-consuming repetitive work. It provides consistency. Automation adds process to make sure no important step is ever overlooked. And also, automation can help in keep things tidy. You can perform maintenance tasks and periodic cleaning without worry of forgetting when maybe you want certain cards archived in lists or cards moved around, or to sort cards by due dates, etc., which I'll show. So let's go over some Butler basics to help you get started. And once again, check out trello.com/webinars if you really want to deep dive into Butler. So Butler offers a bunch of types of commands that are either rule-based triggers, card and board buttons, or date-based triggers. And the first one I'm going to show is rule-based triggers. And rules are triggered by a specific action on a board. And when triggered, they'll automatically run a set of actions. Rules apply across an entire board, so whenever any card on the board or any action gets triggered, it will then run the set of actions that you have set. So as you can see here on the left, I've set a rule where the trigger is when a card is moved into the done list by anyone. The following actions will occur. Mark the due date as complete, check all the items in the checklist on the card, and remove all the members from the card. And when I execute that and I drag and drop, as you can see, it's all taken care of. This is a really simple application of a rule just to kind of highlight how it works. But even this alone saves like tons of clicks. And just make sure that nothing goes, unchecked on the board. Card buttons are for custom automations for cards that are executed at the click of a button. And so card buttons handle card level tasks and appear on the card back. With a card button, when you create them, you can name them any title you want. So as you see here on the left, I've created a card button called Next Step. And basically what I'm doing is creating an automation that exists on the card back, which I'll show in a moment. And what it's going to do is whenever I click that button, it's going to set the due date for 3 working days from now. It'll add the blue needs approval label to the card. It adds a member at Beth Ortman to the card, posts a comment, ready for you, and it moves to the card to the next list on the board. And what this does is it builds a process into the workflow where anytime we need manager approval on a task or whoever to QA something, they will automatically be added, the right labels will be applied, due date will be applied automatically, and nothing will skip a beat here with the team. So to show you how that works, click Next Step, and as you see, Butler automatically takes care of everything, and the card's in the next list. One more time. Click the Next Step button, the due date, the label, the member, and the comment are all added, and the cards are automatically moved over. So board buttons are similar to card buttons, but they appear at the top of your board and accomplish tasks across your entire board at the click of a button. So here I have on the left, I've created a board button called Upcoming Dates. And really what I want to do is, sometimes lists get long, especially maybe if you're not using the list limits power up. And, maybe something that is going to be due soon or is even overdue is potentially out of view. So with this board button, I can sort the cards in each list by their due date in an ascending order to make sure to surface anything that is going to be due very soon. So when I click open Upcoming Dates, automatically all the lists get sorted for me, and I can see that there's a card overdue. Calendar commands are scheduled commands for recurring tasks and regular board maintenance, and they can be set to run at specific times on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. And basically what I have set up here is a trigger that's going to run every Monday at 9 a.m. And I have a board, which you'll see in a moment, that has all of last week's work on it and all the work that is up next and things we're working on this week. And I just want to get the board ready for the week. All the work that was done already, I want to archive all that. Everything that was done last week, I want to move that to the last week list. And everything that's in my up next list that we're going to work on this week, I want it to be in this week's list. So that when the team comes in Monday, everyone knows the prioritized tasks for the week. So my alarm goes off at 9 a.m. and automatically Butler moves everything over for me, sorts the cards by their due date. One more time. We archive last week, move this week to last week, and up next is now in this week's tasks. Similar to calendar commands are due date commands, but due date commands use the card's due date as a trigger and can be programmed to take a series of actions as the card's due date gets closer when due or a set period of time after the card is due. So on the left you can see my trigger here for the due date command is the moment a card is due. I want it to run these set of actions. I want the card moved to the top of the list. I want to add the red label to the card to really draw attention to it. And what comment posted to the card so that all the members get a notification. What's the status of this? Oops. And now when I run the command, and when the due date hits, we can see everything's been taken care of. Once again, the due date is triggered, the label's added, it's moved to top of the list, and the members of the card get a notification. So Butler comes with all accounts, even free accounts. So if you have a free account, you can test out rules and card and board buttons. The due date and calendar commands only come with business class and enterprise teams. Also with business class and enterprise, you get much more usage out of Butler. So you're going to get more command runs, more operations, and you have a higher quota for your team. There's also advanced features with business class and enterprise that allow you to use custom field data with Butler, and even send emails through Butler. Some more interesting stuff that I go into if you go check out the Butler webinar at trello.com/webinars. And finally, I'm not going to go into this in any depth because with a free account, you can add a power-up to any board. But Trello has over 100 plus integrations with the top work tools that your team is probably already using today. So for instance, Slack allows you to keep your communication in Slack and your collaboration in Trello connected. Google Drive allows you to bring all your Drive files onto a Trello card to keep everything organized in one place, or you can even create new files directly from Trello cards. You can even actually create a presentation from Google Slides of a Trello board with the Google Drive power-up. It's really cool. And even Jira, we create and attach issues to really keep every member on your team on the same page. Maybe you have some technical staff working in Jira and non-technical staff working in Trello, and the Jira power-up allows you to connect the two and surface information from Jira into Trello. And as I mentioned, you should try out power-ups today. Every free account comes with, you can add a single power-up to a board. Of course, with business class, you get unlimited power-ups, so you can really build complex workflows with business class and by enabling a whole slew of power-ups. But to add a power-up to your board, if you have never done this before, click the power-ups from the menu. And here you can see we have a bunch of featured power-ups. And we also have categories, so you can go through and find what works for you or search. And when you find a power-up you'd like, just click Add to add it to your board. And it's that simple. Power-ups will either show up here in the top of the board or on the menu on the board, where you can go and set any settings or authorize the power-ups. So next up, I want to talk about how to scale your team successfully with business class. And first is collections, which allow you to organize boards by department, project, etc. Because when you have unlimited boards that come business class, you're going to want to keep everything organized. So as I mentioned a second ago, collections allow you to basically create a collection of boards, whether that be by department or a project that's being worked on, any team structure, really anything. And you can create as many collections as your team needs to keep your boards organized. And then you can add boards to collections by just clicking the plus sign in the boards tab on your team page and applying the collection. And then you can filter by collection. So it's a really great way to quickly surface what's most relevant to you. If you're on the HR team, you're probably going to be looking for the HR boards most frequently, and by having these added to a collection, that's easy to do. Also, you can easily add collections from a boards menu. So once any boards you already have, you can click the More button, go up to Collections, and then you can select the collection you'd apply to, and you can even create a collection from here as well. Next up, I'm going to get into board sorting, which once again, when you have a lot of boards, allows you to surface team boards. So as you can see in the top right of the board menu is this sort option. And board sorting is just a really simple but effective way to surface active and popular boards. So for instance, the most recently active, when clicked, will surface all those boards that have had the most recent activity. And really, it's a great way to start your day, or even when you come back from vacation after a week and you just want to see what's had activity since you've been gone. You can sort by then. Also, you can sort by members to see which boards have, the most popular, have the most members on them, or stars, which boards have been starred the most. And really, both of these are really effective for new hires that maybe want to quickly learn what boards across your team people are using. It helps them get a good jumping off point to getting involved in the current projects or current boards that have been created for company culture, etc. And finally, I'm going to show you some ways that you can visualize team activity and export team data from your business class team. So business class allows you to see board membership, and you can see what team boards members are on by, as you can see, to the right of the username, it says on 13 boards or on 17 boards. It shows how many boards are on. So clicking that, you can view now all their boards, and you can easily remove them in a single click. You can also see when a team member was recently active in Trello. But even from there, you can view the cards that team members are on. And this is a really great way to better manage their workload. So if you click to see how many boards someone's on and scroll to the bottom of the list, there's the View Members Team cards. And by clicking that, you'll see their cards that they're on. Currently, these are sorted by due date. So it'll show the overdue cards, cards where the due date's met, upcoming due dates, and then cards as well without a due date. And so we could see how much work someone has on their plate, if anything's slipping, etc. Finally, exporting team data is always great. If you want to bring that data into a spreadsheet or run further analytics, you can export team data in CSV and JSON with all the raw attachments in a single click. So this will include all the raw attachments if you'd like from all your Trello boards in their native format. And when you create exports, you also have a history of all your previous exports if you want to download any of those from the past for comparison's sake. Now I'm going to get into additional security for your team that business class provides. And first and foremost are the admin settings. And these allow you to control who can be added to your team and its boards. So let's go over the settings menu on the team profile for admins of the team. So here you're going to see some new options that aren't available for free teams, such as change membership restrictions. And this allows you to only specify which email domains you want to add to the team. So you can do across an entire domain, for instance, for Travidux, or you can even add individual people by individual domains. Maybe you're working with a client or something on a project, and you want to bring them into your team for that. Board creation restrictions are very great. Maybe you don't want anyone to create public boards. You can set that here. Team visible boards are very beneficial for creating collaboration. So maybe we want any team member to create those. And then you got to decide whether or not you want private boards to be created. Let me tell you that admins can access private boards in the team. Board deletion restrictions, very similar. Once a board is deleted in Trello, it can't be recovered. So you might want to be careful about who can delete boards within the team. Next up, inviting guests to boards. So you can set up whether only team members can be invited to boards or anybody can be added to a board. And once again, this is something to consider depending if you work with folks outside your team frequently on projects. You might want to allow anybody to be added to team boards, or just because otherwise you don't want people to create boards outside of the team for projects because they can't add someone they need to add to the board. So it's something to consider there. Next up, if you work with Slack, linking Slack teams, it's a really useful way to add the Slack Trello integration. And also once teams are linked, it allows an easy way for members of the Slack team to join your Trello team. And so these are some of the features that come with business class for admins. Business class also allows you to have a more powerful way to remove team members from your team without removing their work, and that's through deactivating members. So in the Members tab, you'll see that there is a new option where instead of just removing someone from the team, you can select Deactivate. And what this does is it disables members' access to team boards, but allow other team members to see the cards and boards that member was on, so you don't lose track of their work or their work history. And it makes it easier to reassign tasks for other team members. So if you deactivate Bethany, for example, in this situation, and then we go to a board, you can see that Bethany's avatar is faded out. Now Bethany no longer has access to any of these team boards, but it allows me to quickly see what projects Bethany was working on and reassign those tasks so that the team doesn't slow down. And finally, observers. Observers allow you to add view-only members to your team boards. It's an easier way to share information without risking anything potentially getting moved or messed up with your team's workflow. So when inviting someone to a board, you can select Add as Observers. And basically what they can do is they can just view and comment on the board. You can also click any avatar for anyone that's already been invited to a board and change their status to an observer. And observers are pretty useful, like if you're doing, once again, like client-based work. Maybe you want to show clients or external stakeholders, be transparent and allow them to see the work that's going on within a private or team visible board. But you don't want them to be able to like move cars around, change due dates, or anything that might mess up your team. It's also even good, you can add observers, even team members as observer roles. For instance, maybe you've created an employee manual within your team. And so you just want the HR team members to be able to update it. But we want the rest of your team to be able to view that board so they can get useful information. You might want to consider adding people as observers then. And so just want to get into some resources here because that sums up the 3 pillars of business class. If you want to learn more, I'd recommend checking out Trello.com/businessclass. If you want to compare free and business class and enterprise, visit Trello.com/pricing. To learn more about power-ups and enable power-ups and add power-ups to your board, you can go to Trello.com/power-ups. And as I mentioned before, if you're looking for board templates for your team, some best practices, you want to see how you can add new ways for your team to use Trello, visit Trello.com/teams, where we have boards that can be copied, recommend power-ups that are really useful for different types of teams, and provide additional resources like webinars and blog posts. And also, if you have any questions anytime about business class features, don't hesitate to reach out to support@Trello.com, where we'll be glad to answer any questions. Anyway, thanks for watching today, and hope you learned a lot and had a great time. Take care.